Good morning, kids. Today we're checking out a video from Popcross Studios of turning Ben 10 aliens into xenomorphs. Let's hop in and watch the magic.
When I did my second round of turning Minecraft mobs into xenomorphs, I mentioned how I'd gotten a lot of requests to do Ben 10 aliens as xenomorphs as well.
Hell
And
yeah.
since mentioning that as a possibility, I've gotten even more requests to do that very video, so, let's
Here
just
we
do
are.
it.
Let's do
Let's
it.
go.
Hit like if you want.
Subscribe if you feel like it.
But
But
either
anyway, enjoy the show.
Bust our Terminax mission log.
Ooh, starting off with one of the first aliens he ever turned into, Heat Blast.
Quest 3 under
Actually,
new
that is the first alien he ever turned into.
directives. I'm currently en route back from the planet Pyros with another Xeno that, honestly, I don't even get how this one exists. I mean, xenomorphs got a brew in the stomach of a host body before playing Jack-in-the-Box with some creature's ribcage. But
Yeah.
as far as I know, Pyronites are like fiery magma to their core.
Yeah,
This
they
thing
don't
should have
have
been
stomachs.
cooked alive. Hey, Ship, do you have any idea how this thing could have survived?
I have just tapped into the Yautja databanks and found reference to the fact that some ovomorphs, or xenomorph eggs, have been genetically enhanced to create chrysalides, or chestbursters, with elevated speeds of adaptation. So it is possible one of these was able to adapt to the extreme temperatures inside a pyronite almost instantly upon entering its body.
Okay, no, that's actually a pretty neat explanation, and would actually be pretty awesome if it's canon. It's not, but still.
Huh, alright, good. Wait, you say you got into the Flargan Predators databanks? Check if they got any bounties on me.
Accessing. Information on Bustar Terminax has you classified as a bad-blooded former ally. Execution is deemed acceptable, but not necessary. Threat level... Oh, would you look at that? The information cuts off there, and I...
Just say it, Ship.
Say it.
Very well. Threat level has you ranked at Suckling.
What? They got me ranked as weak as a Flargan Yautja toddler?
Wait, what?
Now, Bustar, remember, care too deeply for what others think of you.
Hold on, is that an insult or a compliment? Because if it's a compliment, it would mean that they don't see you as enough of a threat to hunt you down right then and there. But it's also an insult because you have, killed plenty of them, and they're now saying, nah.
And you will always be their prisoner. Why not return to the task at hand, concluding your mission log on the pyromorph, as you so call it?
I'll show them.
Logging.
Suckling.
Ah!
Fine, whatever. Apparently this thing had been lurking around planet Pyros for a while, and the Pyronites were cool with it at first because it was mostly killing crab dozers, these big, beautiful purple-horned bug beasts that kill Pyronites. But
Useful.
eventually the Xeno turned on the Pyronites too, so they put up a bounty on it.
And not useful.
I got there first because I'm a Flargan good bounty hunter that could take any Yautja on one-on-one, and I got the thing caged up in a misting chamber that shoots a constant stream of water vapor. Just enough to keep the thing from flaring up and melting free, but weak enough to not do any damage to it.
Ooh.
I truly
clever.
appreciate how much you care about not harming the creatures you catch, Bustar. It shows great restraint given your prior history of slaying such creatures.
Yeah, well, I ain't gonna show any restraint the next time I come across a Yautja, I tell you that much.
That's fine, Bustar.
Now, I realized when I was prepping for this episode that it had been a really long time since I'd used Heat Blast, who is one of my original favorite Ben 10 aliens, and I used it a lot in the first Ben 10 episodes I did. In the very first Ben 10 episode where I was just drawing Ben 10 aliens, I drew Heat Blast.
Oh,
I also
cool.
turned it into a dragon, and I fused it with Bakugo in the My Hero Academia times Ben 10 episode. But because I used it a lot in the early days, I think that's why I'd been avoiding using it ever since, so it had been a long time since I used Heat Blast, and I figured this was going to be a really fun excuse to get back to it. Doing a xenomorph with a sort of magma molten core and then a sort of rocky skeletal exterior over that I thought was going to be a lot of fun, and I'm really glad I ended up going with this. It's not my favorite of the episode. There's actually two drawings
brilliant
that I
idea.
like more than this one in this episode, but I don't mean that as an insult to this drawing. That's just kind of a good hint at the fact that I really like how a lot of the art in this episode turned out. I was a little bit hesitant at first to have the tail just...
I mean, your art is always amazing and awesome, so why not feel a little pride in it? I mean, you're not like an egotistical man that would say that your art is the die for of all art, but nah, your art is good. Have some pride in it. Well, no, not have some pride. Be prideful of it.
to be a circling
degree.
arc around the character, because I like having the tails
you guys know
kinda
what I mean.
swaying a little bit more. But once I kind of put that in and saw how it was framing the character, I was like, you know what? I've done lots of other things with Xenomorph tails. Let's go with just the rounded arc on this one. And I think that was a good call. I hope you all like this one as much as I do, but get prepped for some other really cool stuff coming up.
Alright, let's see what the next alien is. I'm gonna guess Diamond Head.
Mission Log Quest 3 Entry
Nope,
2.
I was wrong. It's Gut Rot.
Got the pyro...
Wait, why Gut Rot of all aliens? That doesn't make sense. Because, first of all, does this guy even have a mouth? And his insides is literally a chemical lab. Huh. Let him explain.
Morph back to Ishkonigan Major, and the Ishkonians already had a terrain ready for it in the nature reserve. Made for a pretty quick and quiet mission all in, but as usual, afterwards I got to wander around the reserve for the rest of the day. Got suited up in one of the phaser suits the Ishkonians got there. Basically a suit that makes you totally invisible and intangible to any sentient being, so you can wander around totally freely, and I went straight to the coolest looking Xeno that, honestly, I wish I'd been the one to track down. They got some fancy science name for it, but I call it the Gut Morph, because it's got an exposed gut full of swirling green chemicals. One of the other Ishkonian hired bounty hunters tracked this thing down before I started working with him.
Oh god, you can see the skull in there. Now that's horrifying.
Talked to the lead xenomorph researcher, this short little Ishkonian guy named Azimuth, and he still doesn't know
Azimuth?
what planet this Xeno got its host body from and burst out of. Even after taking samples of its DNA and running them through a whole bunch of different databases, he says he's got nothing on whatever alien species a chestburster busted out of to make this thing. But to be honest, I couldn't really care less where it came from. I'm just glad the thing exists. Whenever I get near the thing, I power off part of my phaser suit so I can smell the fumes that this thing emits. Its body can create a bunch of different types of gases and vapors that shoot out of the green round things all over its body. Pretty fantastic smell if you ask me.
Bustar,
I do kind of like the whole, it's got cannons in its tail. That's kind of cool.
according to Ishkonian research, this creature generally emits scents that are so foul it can render those who smell it unconscious. It may not be wise to allow yourself to take in these scents.
Nah, I can't help it. Sure, it burns my nose a little bit, but I think it smells fantastic. They should make a perfume out of this thing's gases.
That perfume would likely do serious damage to whomever attempted to wear it, possibly even killing them.
Yeah, well, they'd leave behind a sweet-smelling corpse.
Damn,
I
Busto.
absolutely love this drawing. I think drawing-wise, it's my favorite of the episode, but as a representation of a xenomorph, maybe not as much. It's definitely a little bit more out there in terms of xenomorph designs. And the main thing that I wanted to do was take inspiration from a bunch of different xenomorph designs I saw where the head of the xenomorph is a little bit translucent and you can see a humanoid kind of skull sitting in the front of the head. And I thought that look was really cool. I
That
wanted to
is
try it a
terrible.
few times, and this one might not have been the right time to use it just because I already step away from classic xenomorph looks in so many other elements of this design, so that makes it look even less like a xenomorph. But
Yeah.
just as a completed drawing, I really love the look anyway, and, you know, it helps keep from the designs getting too repetitive, because obviously with xenomorphs, there's a lot of elements that I'm repeating in all my different xenomorph designs.
I mean, you kind of
Funny
have
enough, this
to.
one actually makes me think of the Ben 10 Armors episode, where my favorite armor in that episode was my Arctiguana mech, but my complaint about that one was, even though the actual drawing of that mech armor turned out really cool, it wasn't a fantastic representation of Arctiguana. Whereas in this case, I think this is a really awesome drawing, but maybe not quite so much a great representation of a xenomorph overall. Still, I really love how this turned out, and I'm glad that I finally used Gut Rot, because I really like that design, and it was super fun to play with in this. Hope you all like the result.
I get what he's saying. I mean, sometimes you can have an amazing result and outcome, but it just doesn't hit that one singular note to make it a true representative.
Mission Log Quest 3 Entry.
Okay, no. How? Goop? Really? The alien creature that is literally 100% goop. How the heck does that thing get impregnated? It doesn't have anything there. Oh, it's like snot.
3. I was about to head off planet on another job when Azimuth called me up and asked me to head over to his lab. He asked, since I was already on world, if I could stand guard in his lab while he ran some tests on another of the Xenos they got there. Was another of the ones that I didn't track down myself, but this one they knew where it was from this time. It had brewed in the goopy body of a polymorph over on the planet Viscosia. It ain't the homeworld of these things technically, because their homeworld was destroyed a while back, but it's where the things have since started living. Anyway, the Xeno didn't even kill the polymorph it grew inside.
Okay, I do kind of like the addition of the gravity field generator. I think that's what it is. And having it, stay, even though it probably doesn't need it.
I'd have, because busting out of the chest.
I mean, because it's goop and a xenomorph. So, I'm sorry, this alien just is giving me so many questions.
One of those goopy things wouldn't really do much. Their bodies aren't solid, so you can even riddle them with bullets and it wouldn't do anything to them. Funny thing about this Xeno is, without its anti-gravity projector, you wouldn't even know the thing was a xenomorph. See, Viscosia's gravity is a lot lighter than most other worlds with life on them, so when they took this Xeno off-world, it wasn't able to hold its base form anymore. Azimuth had to invent a device for it that'd create a gravity field around the thing specifically so it could hold its shape.
If you don't mind me interrupting, Bustar, why would Azimuth not simply turn the projector off while he ran his tests? Would that not render the xenomorph powerless to harm him?
He had it off for most of the tests, but some of the stuff he wanted to do, he needed the thing fully formed for it. I didn't end up having to do much, but it was kinda cool chatting to the guy while he worked. Said xenomorphs got a weird anomaly in their DNA that he was trying to exploit for a device he was making.
Ooh.
Said if it worked, it would basically let anyone who wore it take on the form of any xenomorph whose DNA he put into the thing. Called it the Xenotrix. Asked him how much he was gonna sell the thing for if it worked, but I should have guessed the answer. He had no plans to sell it. Was making it just for the experiment of it, and if it did work, he was just gonna use it to help folks or something.
Alright,
An expected
alright.
response, to be sure, from an Ishkonian, as they are a species descended from the Pleiadians. Their kin are widely considered to be some of the most benevolent beings in the universe. Not to mention, they are often perceived by humanoid lifeform standards of beauty to be some of the best-looking beings alive.
Yeah, the first part about being benevolent I buy, but as far as looks go, I don't really get the appeal. Throw a set of mandibles on him, and maybe you got something there.
Damn it, Beastall. Oh, hold on, folks. We'll be right back. And we're back.
Now, the funny thing about this one is it literally took half the time to draw of some of the other drawings in this episode. Like our Humongosaur drawing coming up next took 5 hours, and this one took 2.5 hours.
Wait, Humongosaurs are going to be the final alien? Okay, that's going to be badass.
And I would say, this one looks better. Not to bash the Humongosaur drawing coming up, I still think that one looks pretty cool, but this one, I would say, overall turned out better, and as far as pairing Xenomorph designs with Ben 10 designs, I would say this is probably the most successful combination. I mean, it helps that Goop has a very simple design, but, you know, this looks like a goopy version of a Xenomorph, and I really, really like that look. I mean, it helps that shiny, slimy, amorphous sorts of characters, I think, are some of the things that look the best in
like
my
a
art
melody.
style. But I do just, think it's kind of funny that this took so much less time and turned out so well. I also really like in any drawing I do when I've got a good excuse to have some colored inks in there, like this one with the green inks around it. Helps it look a little bit more translucent. And speaking of inks, if you want the inks from this episode to color yourself, you might want to consider joining the Popcross Studios Patreon, because inks and high-resolution art go up a day before a video's released. There,
Support
I did the Patreon ad partway through the video, so I don't have to throw it in at the end. Also, it was fun working into this lore a version of the Omnitrix that can only turn into different types of xenomorphs, given the fact that the ink tank has proven that regular Ben 10 wouldn't be able to turn into a xenomorph at all. And the video in which that was proven is one where I actually have a cameo. I'll link it up in the cards. Anyway, let's take a look at the finished result.
Huh. Note to self. I don't remember him actually having a cameo in that, so I may have to re-watch that. Just for myself.
Hypothetically speaking, Bustar, if you were to don this Xenotrix device, and could then turn into any of the xenomorphs currently residing on Ishkonigan Major, which would you first want to transform into?
I mean, the gut morph would be pretty sweet, but they also got this xenomorph that popped out of a Vaxasaurian from Terra Dino, and that thing is a beast. It's got all the powers of one of that species with the speed and hunting abilities of a Xeno. Its skin can harden to a point.
Wait, you mean something as big as this guy is as fast as a xenomorph? Oh, everyone's messed up. Everyone's gone. We're dead.
Being basically indestructible. Throw that thing onto an unsuspecting planet and it'd tear through the population like a rancor through a pack of puppies.
Oh,
Usually that
it's a death
species
angel.
can change their size to grow up to 60 feet tall, but the Xeno version can get up to 90 feet. The number of Yautja I could stomp with that thing's power. I mean, not that I need to transform into something to take on a Yautja.
You seem to be
It's just a
deeply
bonus.
hurt by the Yautja's opinion of you, but let me ask you, what do the Ishkonians think of you?
They think I'm doing a good thing and they appreciate my help and are real glad that I'm not killing the stuff that I hunt anymore.
And what did the Pyronites have to say about you when you captured the Pyromorph on their planet?
They thanked me for coming so quick. They were impressed with how fast I got the thing caged up. Said I was the most efficient hunter they ever saw.
Ooh,
Precisely.
compliments.
Well, I understand why you would be hurt by those you once fought alongside having turned on you. Remember that there are many people who do respect you and the work that you are doing, Bustar. And while I am simply an artificially intelligent program uploaded to your ship intended to assist you, I too think that you are doing the right thing, and that you are a very skilled and powerful bounty hunter.
Alright. Thanks, but, let's
pride.
not get all mushy here. We got more contracts coming in. A lot more critters out there causing problems that need new homes, so, let's get going.
Let's
Can
move.
do, Bustar.
I gotta say, I'm getting really invested in Bustar and Ship's storyline, and I really like that the format of these
As are we.
episodes that I've set up is gonna be that each one is Bustar's next quest or mission. It's gonna be a good way to kind of track his progress and keep a count on the number of episodes he has, even as we jump between different series, because we could possibly have this character not even just going after xenomorphs. Like, I have a Star Wars reference in that lore that I just read, so we could... there's lots of different alien creature
Oh, yeah.
possibilities to use this narrator,
Randall.
I guess, kind of set of narrators with Bustar and Ship. But anyway, in terms of this drawing, I do really like how it turns out, but I think it's my least favorite of the four in this episode. Or at least that's what I thought originally. Now that I'm recording my, notes on it and kind of staring at it, I'm like, this one is actually pretty sweet. As I said, this one took 5 hours to do. I don't think looking
I
at
don't know what it is, but the thing of the chest, I like that.
it necessarily looks like a 5-hour drawing. Maybe that's because it's one of those drawings where I didn't draw the background in, like with a dragon episode. Those tend to feel a little bit more like, yeah, I could see why this would take up to 5 hours or something like that. Though a lot of the time, even dragon drawings don't end up taking that long. And one thing that I did do, I think I might have done it after the screen recording was done, was I just upped the contrast of the different brown elements on the character, because it was feeling a little bit too uniform, and like there wasn't enough contrast in terms of the design. So I darkened up the dark bits, lightened up the light bits, just to have a little bit more variety, and I think that really helps this one out. I also duplicated the light layer after the fact, my glow layer where I have the lighting, and then I didn't completely double the lighting, but I doubled that layer, then lowered the opacity of the top one, just to add a little bit more extra lighting on the thing. And those little last minute tweaks, I think, really help make this one feel a little bit more... no word is coming to me. A little bit more oomph. Anyway, it was super fun working with Humongousaur
like
again.
that,
And let's take a
brother.
look at the last drawing.
Yeah, that actually does look a lot better. Oh, even with that little.
Well, currently this holds the rank for best Xenomorph episode to me, but let me know what you thought in the comments. And if there's other Ben 10 aliens you want to see xenomorphized. Plus, if you're new to the channel, you might want to check out my Minecraft Mobs as Xenomorphs
Check that
episodes.
out.
Or maybe my Ben 10 Demons or Ben 10 Dragons episodes. But besides that, that's all for today, except of course for ending this video on some kind of positive or
uplifting
inspiring
note.
note. And the thought I want to leave people with is actually based on a conversation I had when I was 18 years old. I was talking to a 24-year-old guy about health and fitness, and he said, oh, you watch out. Once you start approaching your mid-20s, your metabolism's gonna go downhill and you're gonna have a way harder time staying in shape. I didn't really take that on as a belief for myself, and I'm 29 years old now, and honestly, because of how much I've learned about nutrition, exercise, the direct impact of mental health on your physical health, and just my body in general, I feel like I have an easier time staying in shape now than when I was 18. So the point is to say someone else's negative outlook about how
That
life
makes
goes
sense.
doesn't have to be something that you take on as one of your own personal beliefs. It is good to get other people's perspectives on things, but no matter how confident they seem, their definition about life doesn't have to become part of your reality. I hope that's inspiring. I love you all, and I'll see you all in the next episode on Monday. Goodbye.
And with that, folks, that's where we're going to end off today's video. I hope you all enjoyed this. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more. The link will be in the description below, and I'll see all of you folks next time when we flick on. Peace out.